Hello everyone, how are you doing today? Hope everybody's doing pretty good. I'm going to do a presentation on Asian Americans, Exclusion and Segregation. We're going to take a look at the Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans and just their different experiences and struggles they had immigrating to the United States, some educational troubles they had, and issues like that. I'm not going to stand in front of the board the whole time. I'm going to be over here at my computer just so I can get through each slide. Hope everyone enjoys this and hope everyone's having a good day today. Alright, first off, I'm going to talk about just some general immigration context. Everyone except for American Indians and African Americans and some Latinos are descendants of voluntary immigration or immigrants. America's proud immigrants history only specifies those who came from Western Europe. They really exclude a lot of other people that came from other countries because as they see themselves as a supreme race. And I don't mean that by any means of trying to downplay anyone. It's just the true image that some people see. But America is a nation built by immigrants from many non-Western countries, including Eastern Europe, Africa, South America, East Asia, and Southeast Asia. Why did people immigrate to the United States? You have voluntary immigration. You have pull factors. Now, push factors could be political or religious persecution, refugees, war, economic, environmental. We see today, especially, we see a lot of people coming from countries that are war-torn in the East. And you have pull factors: work, family, education, and quality of life, especially with what we're going to talk about today. You also have involuntary immigration. Many African Americans in the United States are descendants of forced immigrants, or also slavery, as we saw in the early years, especially with the founding of the United States. Asian immigration history and the Chinese experience is what we're going to speak of next. You have the Chinese immigration begins in the mid-1800s, first to Hawaii, then to California, most of San Francisco. As you know, part of the reason why they came from Hawaii at first is because Hawaii and China are not very far from each other, especially to Asia, especially if you know your immigration history. Most people came to Ellis Island from Europe. Most people came through Hawaii and then to California from Asia. You got pull factors for the Chinese, the reason why they came. You got cheap labor and docile workforce, docile workforce. They have to work all the time, in no regard is paid to the complaints for food. Slavery is nothing compared to it. William Hooper says the first person to establish a sugar plantation on the island of Hawaii. A lot of people think of sugar as being like Cuba, early history, but Hawaii was a very large sugar producer, so they needed workers like cotton was needed in the South and other cash crops in the South as they were for slaves. The same thing was needed for the Chinese. There was hopes for economic opportunity. Americans are very rich people. They want a Chinaman to come and make him very welcome. There you will have great pay, large houses, and food, and clothing of the finest description. It is a nice country. Money is in great plenty and to spare in America. That's what the vision was. In the 1860s in China, a man might earn $3 to $5 a month, while in America he could earn $30 a month working for the railroad companies. That's a very large pay increase, especially with the different conditions that you have to deal with in China and what you do in the United States. Also, other push factors, many were escaping intense conflicts in China. You've got the British Opium Wars from 1839 to 42 and 56 to 60. Very destructive to the country. You have peasant rebellions. You had the Red Turban Rebellion, 1854 to 64. Then you have a lot of bloody wars between the Punti, which were the local people, and the Hakas, which were the guest people. There was a lot of cultural conflicts between these two. Also, some white laborers were racist and committed violent acts against the Chinese laborers during this time, taking jobs from them. Chinamen would work longer hours for less pay, even though $30 a month for them was a lot. To the American people, they felt like the Chinese were taking money and food out of their families' mouths. Because of the pressure of the European laborers, the United States enacted the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1882. Severely limited the number of immigrants from China that come to the United States. Then from 1910 to 1940, Angel Island was used to detain those who were trying to come to the United States from China. This was the same as Ellis Island, as in New York, where immigrants came through to register. Alright. You also have a women's experience with Asian Americans. The sugar plantation owners saw that Chinese women could be used to control the Chinese laborers. Kind of like my wife controls me. So, and I don't mean that in a crude way, but she does, you know. As they say, if you're married, the man is the head, but the woman is the neck. So you know what turns. It's your neck. So, hope everybody got a chuckle out of that. If you didn't, I'm sorry for the corny joke. The 1,000 possible ills which may arise from the indiscriminate herding together of thousands of men, let the sweat and gentle influence of the mother, the wife, the sister, and the daughter be brought to bear upon the large and yearly increasing company of the Chinese in our midst. They learned how to control the people, and they do this through women. Now, we talked about the Japanese experience a little bit, or the Chinese experience. Now we're going to talk about the Japanese experience. Japanese first came to Hawaii and the U.S. starting in the 1880s. Quite a bit later than once the Chinese came. They came the same route as the Chinese, again because of Asia, it's closer to come to Hawaii and the California coast that way. Between 1885 and 1924, over 200,000 Japanese arrived in Hawaii. By 1920, Japanese represent 40% of the entire population of Hawaii. What we got to realize is that the Chinese, a few of them stayed in Hawaii, but a lot of them went to America. The main reason was the railroad to work there. A lot of people settled in Hawaii today. If you've ever been to Hawaii, you'll notice that there's a very large Japanese population there still today. You have push factors for that. After the 1868 Meiji Restoration, the Japanese government began to industrialize and modernize. In order to pay for industrialization, Japanese farmers were heavily taxed to help pay off debts and other issues. During the 1880s, over 300,000 farmers lost their land because they couldn't pay the new tax. Sort of the same situation here in the United States in the early years, whenever you had the taxes, Bacon's Rebellion, different things like that. Instead of people rebelling in Japan, they left because they had somewhere greater to go. Because of the economic hardship they faced in Japan, many farmers and poor Japanese looked to migrate to Hawaii for better economic opportunities. It's called the immigration fever, the netis, which is fever. Also, you have pull factors. You have economic opportunities. Money grows on trees, as they saw it. You have higher wages. They had $1 per day, which is $2 in yen, versus 66 cents per day as a carpenter. All right. They divide and rule strategy for plantation owners. It says keep a variety of labors, that is different nationalities, and thus prevents any concentrated action in case of strikes. There are few, if any, cases of Japs, Chinese, and Portuguese entering into a strike as a unit, George H. Fairfield, manager of a plantation, said. So in other words, if you don't get quite a few together, they're not going to be able to rebel against you. After the 1882